Neil Sean here and welcome to On This Day in History. That's right, we're back again. How many did you get yesterday? Tell me you did well. I'm not so sure. I think some people are cheating, looking online. Naughty thing to do that, you know, by the way. But it's been an interesting series so far because, as I say, I'm glad that we all like the facts and figures. I really do. And what I find interesting about these people is that, you know, you kind of think, yeah, they're still in the public conscious, a lot of them, but a lot of them aren't. But as ever, truly, what did happen on this day? So on this day, 1929, he truly is an icon, this guy, because Babe Ruth was the very first player to hit 500 runs. That's right, 500 runs in the very same game. Incredible when you think, isn't it? Now, I don't know about you, I've heard of Babe Ruth, and obviously I know what he was and what he did, but I checked around the office today and a lot of younger people seemingly don't know who he was. I think for my generation, possibly because of the association with Marilyn Monroe, I'd heard of Babe Ruth via Joe DiMaggio, so of course, you know, there was people like that, but I know there are many great baseball icons, you know, Michael Jordan, I remember him because of course he was the 90s and stuff like that. I just don't know if they're as promoted as well as they originally were, you know, because then perhaps it's not as diluted, who knows, but let's congratulate the brilliant Babe all the way back to 1929 and those 500 runs. But what else happened on this day? Sadly, on this day in 2014, the beautiful American actress Lauren Bacall, who was known for her portrayals of provocative women who hid their soft core underneath a layer of hard-edged pragmatism, I know, that's a mouthful, died at the age of 89. I met Lauren Bacall very briefly, beautiful lady, very down-to-earth, very sassy, and you've got to remember just how young she was when she starred opposite the brilliant actor and then became husband Humphrey Bogart, a very, very young girl, as she said, who had no real idea of what she was doing but being led away. Brilliant actress, and still today is loved by so many. And for many, again, I think a lot of people remember her in such wonderful movies as To Have and to Hold and How to Marry a Millionaire with Betty Grable and Marilyn Monroe. On this day, 1967, I don't know if you remember this, but this, well, was a mega film and turned two people into mega stars. What's interesting I find about this is they were playing two characters, and it's a little bit like we told you recently about, you know, the Great Train Robbery and stuff like that. People then, you become synonymous with those characters. We're talking, of course, about Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway in the brilliant movie Bonnie and Clyde, and that was released on this day. But what's interesting about it was it didn't basically was, you know, an instant smash. It was what they call a slow builder, and this was because, you know, it opened a new era apparently of filmmaking, tearing down the barriers in the depiction of violence and sexuality in those heady times. Yes, indeed. I've met Faye Dunaway, by the way. One thing never to mention to Faye is a portrayal of the golden movie star Joan Crawford in Mommy Dearest. Made that mistake. Let's say the room was warm and then got dramatically colder. I'll just leave that there. So on this day in 1827, we lost the brilliant William Blake. He was an English poet and painter, and actually still used in many works today. And you know, he's one of these, it's very strange, isn't it, because there are a few people that really last the test of time, like Shakespeare, but William Blake's books still sell incredibly well around the world, and he's one of the most republished poets of his generation and more. So let's remember him on this day. So on this day, 1964, sadly, we lost the wonderful Ian Fleming. Now, he's a man who basically gave us, well, an iconic character, didn't he? Many might say I've been modelled on him. I'm joking, of course, but of course the brilliant James Bond. And when you think about it, you know, I've been lucky enough to meet actually his niece Lucy Fleming, a wonderful lady, very down to earth. She had so much you know, stories about Ian himself. He did love to live the high life. He was one of those characters that I think just was really Bond himself. So I think he wrote about Bond in a way that he knew, because he was living that very glitzy life. Of course, not as a spy. And also, the American filmmaker was born on this day in 1881. Who are we talking about? Oh yes, the one and only Cecil B Demille. He was a cinema legend known for using spectaculars in such movies as The Ten Commandments in 1956, and he was born in Ashfield, Massachusetts. Got to tell you a bit of inside track that I learnt from Billy Wilder when I met him. You know, when they got him to appear in Sunset Boulevard, well, Billy basically said he wasn't sure whether he'd want to do it. I mean, he's a movie director, not an actor. Oh no, couldn't wait apparently, and thought this was marvellous to actually act a scene with Gloria Swanson. And even when they'd done the scene, he was still ready to stay and do more. Billy said that it was a strange thing, because normally directors, like himself, don't really want to be front of camera. But in the case of Cecil B Demille, he came from an era where directors were kings, as in the people like King Vidor and all of those other big names that were around in that era. Let's remember the brilliant films that Cecil B Demille has delivered us. I don't know about you, my favourite, Samson and Delilah, Hedy Lamarr, Victor Mature. Yes, check that out. And finally, on this day, a megastar was kind of born because he was part of a group originally, and they had a mega hit, a #1 hit on this day. We're talking the Commodores, and we're talking 3 Times a Lady. Who remembers that song? It's one of those romantic songs that pops up on all those compilations, isn't it? Never ages either. Love Lionel Richie, very nice guy, very down to earth, very talented. And one of these people, I was on a judging panel recently for a reality show, and I thought, yeah, if you want to be criticised, Lionel Richie would be the person to share that, because for me, he's super talented, and if he says you're rubbish, then baby, just maybe, you are. You're up to date on all your facts and figures, what have happened on this day in history. Will you join me tomorrow? I'll see you then.